Everybody's
We
good.
go, it's wherever, I'll let them do that.
We'll leave these together. All right, I'd like to call this Finance and Legislation meeting to order. Mr. Bass?
I'm here.
Mr. Ballack?
Here.
Mr. Bigley is here. We have a bunch of pieces of legislation tonight. Let's roll right into them. This one is from the auditor. An ordinance authorizing the auditor to transfer the sum of $100,000 from the 2023 general fund budget category transfer to police pensions, number 100-9100, 59004, to the police pension fund, number 805-0000, 47101, and declaring an emergency. Motion to bring it out.
I'll make a motion to bring it out.
Second?
Second.
I get it back. I usually get it last.
Okay.
So I gotta get back to her.
Second line for you, does it matter?
No, it don't matter. And second one, an ordinance authorizing the auditor to transfer the sum of $70,000 from the 2023 general fund budget category transfer to fire pensions 100-9100, 59005, to the fire pension fund number 810-0000, 47101, and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to bring it out.
I'll make a motion to bring it out.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, number 3. An ordinance appropriating the sum not to exceed $1,000 from the general fund budget. Appropriations, $9,000 miscellaneous category contingent, $109,000, 53024 for the Higgins Reardon Funeral Home cremation service for an indigent Struthers resident, declaring an emergency. Motion to bring it out?
I'll make a motion to bring this one out.
Second.
I don't agree on it,
I'll second it.
You don't agree on it?
Sometimes we gotta do ones we don't like, but we don't really have a choice.
That's the, it's the ordinance for the pay for an indigent $1,000 funeral.
Oh,
And we are, by law,
By law,
required
required
to
to do it.
Okay. Next one, an ordinance appropriating the sum not to exceed $4,000 from the 2023 general fund budget category contingent 109,000-53024 for the entertainment in the park and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to bring it out.
I think we all went over this, 4,000 is gonna be a good budget for
Yeah.
the music in the park instead of 5,000, correct?
Yeah, I think it can.
Not to exceed, I think
Not to
the
exceed,
actual
not to
budget
exceed
this year is
4,000.
$3750.
So it might not even exceed 4,000.
Right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to bring it out.
Ah, nice, yeah. Best haircut I ever
No doubt. I get them every other week. Okay, now, this is a contract for the Wetmore Bridge replacement,
That is the contract for the design.
the design. Do you want to go over that at all,
So-
Mr. Benson?
I had a meeting today down at Eastgate dealing with the Wetmore Bridge with ODOT. It was kind of a basic meeting because we're still early in the project. And I verified our cost on bridge construction. And they were both, everybody in the meeting was pretty sure that our cost for the bridge construction itself is going to be right around $50,000, which is extremely cheap
Yeah.
because it's almost an $850,000 project.
On top of the.
But the design, but the engineering design, like all projects, is totally on the city, all right? So this is our engineering design cost. The contract that they want to do the construction is 200, I don't remember exactly offhand, just a little bit over $200,000 for the design,
For the
which-
design?
which is kind of normal. It's 20% of your, it's usually 20% of whatever construction cost is. So we're close to $1 million with the construction cost. So for this to be a $200,000 project, it's kind of like right in line with it. So it's nothing.
Seems like a lot for such a little bridge.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that it's going to cost close to $1 million to put the bridge in.
Yeah.
That thing better look good.
Well, it's like this. The bridge is over 80 years old. It's going to have to be replaced at some point.
Yeah, I understand that, but I just, I know everything has gone up. It
Right.
takes a lot of money for a little bridge.
It is.
I
A
agree.
2-lane
Well,
bridge.
I agree.
No, not any longer than this
It was a
road.
20 by 20.
But I'm sure that you.
One of the reasons that the cost had to go up, they couldn't, a lot of times they've got these box culverts that they just set in there and they make a bridge out of it. there is a water line running underneath that bridge, so they weren't able to use that. They have to go with the steel design, okay? That was one of the things that increased the cost.
And that water line that you're speaking of is a stormwater, correct?
No, it's an Ohio water line.
Okay.
It's a utility. It doesn't matter what it is, but because there's utilities underneath the bridge, they can't go with that box culvert because you can't put anything in, fasten anything to it. So that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, it sucks, but I mean, obviously, at the end of the day,
And there is a storm water from the ravine and everything that comes down and comes out at that bridge also.
yeah.
So that also part of the construction cost will be, you know, dealing with that storm water culvert that come down next to the bridge.
So where are we getting this 200 grand for this?
It's coming out of several funds because we have the storm water. We're gonna take, you know, a portion of it from storm water, a portion will come from the street resurfacing because we're gonna resurface the street and everything, and then the rest will come from the general fund. It's gonna be split up,
From 3 different categories.
yes. How much out of each category, we don't know, because we, honestly, we don't know what the separated cost, you know, how much the storm water is gonna cost, how much. So once we figure out.
Well, and the road resurfacing, you can only take what it's gonna cost to
Right.
resurface
the
that road.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
That's why it's split
Yes,
up,
yes.
okay?
Yes.
Yes, Mike.
Is that new bridge gonna be wide enough to allow the water to go through? We gonna have?
They talked about making it wider.
Okay.
So, I don't know until I actually see the engineering
Okay.
design, but that was one of the things that we discussed when we were down at the bridge.
Make sure it's gonna be big enough to allow excessive
Sufficient
rains
flow,
when we
yeah.
get them to let the water
Yes.
go through, and we're not gonna have issues.
Okay, anybody, any questions for Mr. Benson? Okay, an ordinance authorizing the mayor and safety service director to enter into a contract with DLZ Engineering for engineering services for Wetmore Drive Bridge replacement. PID 118677 and declaring an emergency. Motion to bring it out.
I'll make the motion to bring it up.
Second,
I'll second it.
that's it for legislation.
Can I mention something?
Yes.
I was just speaking before the meeting about everything being an emergency. If things don't need to be passed this week, I think we should start looking at how many things we're passing under an
Yeah,
emergency.
because we get cited for
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's kind
I-
of ridiculous how
I
last
agree.
minute we get stuff,
I
so
agree.
you know what I mean?
I agree.
That's something we need to start.
Now, certain
buckling down on.
things, like, that's something we should probably look to start practicing almost always after we get back from recess, because right now, I'm sure a lot of these
Before
things are
recess,
gonna
I
need to be
understand that,
passed
yeah.
before recess. But in the long run, we should start, especially things that the general public may have a say about. If they don't want something or it's something to do with them, that gives them an opportunity to come down here and speak their piece.
Yeah.
So,
Dennis, I just, if I may.
yes.
We are gonna have 2 pieces that we'll end up having to do, and they all have to be passed by August 9th, and that is for the levy.
The street
renewal level.
resurfacing.
Okay.
Because we just now got the certified estimated receipts from the county, so now we'll have to do a piece of legislation that will have to get passed. Once this is passed, then we have to send it down to the Board of Elections, then they will give us a mock-up, and then we'll have to approve the ballot language all
Okay.
before August 9th. Just an FYI, so if that doesn't come back, we may have to have a special meeting before,
No problem.
so just an FYI.
That's why most of the time it is because of time constraints. Even this here, they want to start working on the design right away because ODOT wants to build this in February of next year. So in order for them to build it in February, the design has to be done. So they can't hold off too long.
I mean, listen, I cringe spending $200,000, but
Me too.
at the end of the day, we're getting something at 20% cost that we need, and we are going to need in the future, and I certainly don't want to pay the $1 million in a few years
I
when
agree.
something happens and we need it,
So
so,
get it done now.
but, okay.
So like I told you, I had a meeting on this earlier today at 10 o'clock with the ODOT. It's still very early in the stages. The only requirement they asked for me is that once the design gives me a weight limit on the bridge, they want to be notified. So that's where this is sitting right now. I also met with Caslow Industrial Park today. They're gonna start on the parking lot that they're putting in on Monday. They had a pre-construction meeting today.
And that's going by building A, correct?
That's going by Building A, and they're turning that parking lot over to the city of Struthers once it's complete. So once that parking lot's complete and all the EPA requirements and everything else are met, probably somewhere around February next year, they'll be turning that property over to the city of Struthers. I will let you know that part of the TIF money was used for that. They used
They
all
use
that.
part of their TIF money.
They used all of their TIF money and then 28,000 of our TIF money.
We would have to sign off on that.
TIF money's already appropriated, that it has to go to castle improvements. I don't know.
Half Castle, half city.
Yeah, but that's, the TIF money is designated for infrastructure and everything in
For
Castle.
no, it's not. No, it's designated for downtown in general, not Castle.
Okay,
So-
I misread it because I thought it was Bob Scene Way and Castle.
No, it's actually, they give us a radius, the surrounding area, but it is downtown.
Okay,
So you're probably honestly gonna need legislation.
well, it's under
To-
28,000, so.
I still think you need legislation.
That's not a problem.
I mean,
We can-
just look into it.
Yeah, we
to
can
make
do
sure
that.
that we're
Yeah,
right.
anything over 25,000.
Is it 20, I thought it went up.
It's 50 if
I
it's,
thought it was
if it's contracted work.
Oh,
It's,
okay.
it's 50. I know that, but I would say just in appropriations to use that money, I would assume we would need legislation for that. All right, but,
Okay, well, that's not hard. We can put that together.
okay. Now, they're using all of their TIF money that they've accrued up till this point,
Let me
correct?
tell you, there's not a whole lot of money in TIF.
Well, I understand, but it's supposed to build over a 10-year period, $350,000, I
So there's,
believe.
we have like
It's only been 2 years.
$40,000 sitting in TIF. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
Do we still have the GPS systems on the cars?
no.
Okay, so that means you can't keep track of where they go. I don't ever see any police presence up in Nebo or basically in the third ward. Now, if they did, the people that park in their front yard, have
Yes.
they ever been cited?
I have sent officers up there. I have to look to see if they actually wrote them a citation.
Apparently they did, because it's kind of like a slap in the
The
face.
same place?
Within the last week and a half, they've probably parked all night long in their front yard for four times.
Same place.
Same, the Granite, Youngstown Granite place,
Yeah,
that White House, and the one right next door.
okay.
And they park covering half their house and right in the front yard. I mean, and they do it, they're the only two on the street that do it. And I see it when I go home, like around, I'll go home, I'll drive by like around 7, they're parked there. I go to work, leave my house at 7 in the morning.
I'll check with Captain
Oh, well,
Ronnie
yeah,
tomorrow and
well.
see if they citations
Like I
were
said,
issued
I
for
don't,
that.
I'm not home all day long, I don't
Yeah.
know when they go up there or if they go up there, but when I'm home and I'm driving around, I don't see any police presence there at all, at
Okay.
all.
What was the reason for getting rid of the GPSs?
Cost. I mean, there really wasn't, we didn't use them.
Well,
They were on there.
the reason they were on there for is because they were supposed to patrol all the streets in Struthers,
Yeah, but nobody was monitoring them,
74 miles.
so.
But I'm kinda, it's
Well,
kind of a slap in the face if they know about it and they're still doing
And they're,
it.
I'll
And if
make,
they haven't been cited, I think they should be cited by
absolutely,
now. They're the only two on the street, and
okay.
they do it all the time.
So if they're still, if they're continuously doing it, you're right, they're
They are. They
completely
did it-
ignoring.
They did it 4 days
our
last
ordinance.
week,
Okay,
up to now. Last
Yeah.
week and this week, 4 times
That you know of.
that I don't,
that you know of, right.
that I've driven by.
Do we have
On the
any
way home
plans
or leaving
on
for
putting the
work.
GPSs back on at some point?
No.
Because from what I understand, we got those under a grant.
Yes.
And the grant paid to get them put on there.
Yeah.
And the cost of running them or monitoring them was relatively very, very low.
Yes.
Yeah, most of them were taken out before I took over.
Okay.
There was, the only one that was left when I took over was the fire chief's, and I just discontinued his because they wanted to upgrade it to a 4G network because it was 3G. And I told them I was paying, just for one, it was $20 a month or something I was paying. So we just discontinued that one.
It just seems like a good thing to have as far as a liability goes. Like when our cruiser got stolen.
Yeah.
Well, there's other ways to track the cruisers, because the cruisers do have computers in every computer. You know what I'm saying? So you can look at cell phones or the computer and see where they're pinging from and everything else.
Because it seemed like when ours got stolen, we didn't really know where it was for a little
Well,
bit. You know what I mean? So it just seems like a
it does
liability
take a little
thing.
bit of time.
Well, there was one parked up there, you know, driveway there.
What, one of the cruisers?
Could have been for anything though. But you, at least you would have the availability to know. I mean, it seems like, you know, it was a good thing to have. I got one thing for you, completely off subject, so if anybody wants to
I
finish
just
on
have
it.
2 more things I wanna ask.
Go ahead.
Now, the red zone, you said they're not putting their headquarters in there?
Nope.
So that income tax revenue of $2 million. is
They're
gone.
doing something. They're going to put an after-school program in there,
Yeah,
but it's not gonna be the red zone headquarters.
is it
Yeah,
gonna
is
be
it-
monitored? Now, it's a whole different atmosphere for those people up there if they got a lot of kids running around,
True.
you know? And where there's kids, well, there's trouble.
Yeah.
There is.
Well, that's the whole point of the after-school program, is
Yeah.
keep them out of trouble.
Well, yeah.
But
and
yes, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of details on it. Like I said,
Yeah,
it was just a quick phone
I
call.
would be nice for them to come in and let us know what they're
Yeah.
doing. Because,
I don't know,
I'm more concerned about what they're.
You'd also have to look at the legislation we passed and see
Sure.
what it actually
Yeah.
allowed. If it allowed a headquarters,
Right.
then they're either stuck to that or we have to change the legislation. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, it didn't look like, I just drove past there the other day, it didn't really look like there was much of anything going on up there.
There's not, because and I don't know if that's because they originally started remodeling for offices, and now they gotta change, I don't know. I don't know, there's not a whole lot of activity up there right now. They are keeping the outside fairly nice. I went past there going home the other day, they were blowing all the dirt and everything off the parking lot. So the outside, they're keeping up a little bit.
which let's
But I don't
be
know what's going
realistic
on
for a
inside.
sec too. The place has been an eyesore and not taken care of
Sure,
for a
yeah.
long,
Yeah.
long time.
Well, it was a,
But it was a
So
big
if
rush
the-
to get everything through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if
Without
they're, you
nothing's
know,
happened.
All those
Nothing's happened.
emergencies
Yeah,
we passed.
nothing's
Yeah.
happening.
All those
And then,
emergencies we passed.
Any update on what the library might be doing?
no, I don't know what,
Is the mayor gonna be here sometime to do that, to let us know?
the library, I don't know where their library is at in their process. I know it's still on the list,
Okay.
but I don't know how their fiscal year goes or anything else.
And supposedly this done deal with the dog park, I want a playground up there, I end up getting
I
a
don't
dog
see,
park.
I mean, we were told 2 weeks ago though, or last week, that it's not a done deal until
Well,
council
did you
appropriates
watch
the
the news
property.
They-
on
well,
TV?
yeah,
it's all over the news.
Online.
Here's the thing though, they don't even have enough money
I
right now
know,
for
I
it.
know that.
That
But
doesn't
they're-
matter.
they're
The point
rolling.
is,
They need to quit
Yes.
saying Grim Heights Needle is
Yes.
where it's gonna be.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
that's,
Because everybody in Struthers is getting the idea that's where it's gonna be,
Yeah.
and it's not.
And I don't think I don't think we're really on board with putting it at Evo.
Well, we didn't talk about it.
No.
yeah, I mean, and I
haven't
think
been
that's the
included
point
into
right
the
there.
plan
And
that we
actually,
did.
I've been getting some phone calls, and it's not that they're against the dog park. They wanna know how it's gonna be maintained. Cause, if I see grass at the fence line growing real high,
right,
I'm gonna wanna shut that thing down.
you're right.
Well, I'm also concerned with the liability of it being a park for little wildcats and it also being a dog park.
Right.
That does pose some type of liability.
Exactly.
I mean,
Sure. I mean,
So, Bob,
a
do you
little
know-
dog could be a pit bull.
sure.
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
know
And we
what
got
they
a
told the
million
people
pit
up
bulls.
there? Do you know what they
Basically, I
told
know
them?
about as much about the dog park as you know,
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
That's
it's-
about how much I know.
And it's not fair to put you in the hot seat.
Yeah.
But it's not fair to any of us sitting here.
Right,
It's not. So we are here for the people, we are here to do, and I enjoy doing this job, and I enjoy I don't enjoy the fact that this is a done deal, it's on the news, it's on
But it's not a done deal.
it's not a done deal.
It's not a done deal.
Because you
But
have,
everybody
Because
else,
we haven't
everybody
said-
else but us is under that impression.
they might be under that impression, but you sitting here as council know it's not a done deal
Correct.
because you
But we
did
shouldn't
nothing
be
to do
falsely
it.
advertising it either.
We're not, the city is not doing, they are.
Gave that
Yeah,
So-
information,
Yeah, they are.
did.
The city or
Well, I'll
the
tell
other?
you
No,
what.
they are.
Your mayor's posting things too.
About fundraisers for the park or? I don't
Well,
know.
about,
I didn't.
About it being
I don't
at,
About-
about it being at Evo Grant.
Okay.
yeah.
But
So-
it's not a done deal. They don't have the money, they haven't come to you. there's just a lot of early aspects to this dog park. It's very early.
Well, I know they talked to SLW because I went up there the other day. So they did talk to them, and they spoke to them and said they would close the dog park when they're using it for the kids as a practice field. So I have a dog, I work all day, when am I gonna go to a dog park? In the evening, so if it's gonna be closed, it doesn't make any sense.
There's a whole lot of questions dealing with the dog park. The location is just one of them. I mean, because even if you did put it up there, where at up there? You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of questions that are unanswered.
Well,
with
they
the dog
said it
park.
was at the tree line, they
Yeah,
pointed
they
out
had all
where the
the
tree
details.
line.
That's
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
did. They're
do.
gone.
And somebody gave them those details or let them say it was okay to use it.
Yeah, there's a lot of details that they have.
Because
I
we also
just-
have parks that aren't used
Right.
for
Anything.
anything.
Right.
And I would say, to me, it's a lot less liability to put the dog park at a park where there
It's
isn't
not
kids
being
running around nonstop.
Right.
Fifth Street Park.
Fifth Street Park is a flood zone,
It's
from what I
also-
understand. It's retention for the
Dogs could
creek,
swim.
You
the
also,
creek that runs through there.
you also have no parking at Fifth Street Park.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, you brought up probably, I drove around the last 2 weeks, you probably brought up the best option, which was the park across, as soon as you cross the bridge to the right.
Yeah.
There's nothing
Or-
Nothing there.
Or-
No,
or Wilkes.
park?
nobody uses it. As soon as you go across the bridge downtown,
Yeah.
you turn to the left.
Oh, yeah,
So he said turn to the right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the north side park or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what
Area.
what do we call
Sitting
that park?
bench.
I refer to it as a rock park because when I was told to cut it, I hit nothing but rocks.
Yeah,
And
okay.
then they put more rocks around it, so I
It's
call it
kind
the
of
rock
not real
park.
level.
It's not,
It's
but
not.
you know what? An excavating challenge is really nothing at this point.
Doesn't matter for the dog if it's level.
Well, I mean, they can make it level, they can make an area level
There's a
because.
sitting area there that the people can sit in.
Correct.
No, I agree that it's a great spot. I just
Yeah.
think that
But
like,
that
it
was-
is a hill.
That was what I brought
up.
up, Lori, with last week, or 2 weeks ago when Bob brought that
Right.
up. But I went over there and looked, and I'm just like, excavating this property to carve out I don't know how big, what are the runs usually, a 20 by,
Well, they got
Oh, look
50
what
by
it is.
150.
50?
Or something like that.
Is it-
They got
I don't think.
80
what-
by 150.
80 by
That's
150?
what they're saying.
I
Okay.
thought it was 50 by 150, but you could
Yeah.
Okay, 50 by 150, I mean,
cut in two, one for big dogs and one for little dogs. But you could tier that. Put the little dogs on top and the big ones on the bottom,
sure.
you know.
And if they're raising money to do it,
If
just
we're
gotta
on that
raise a little
matter,
bit more money.
We
That's
have
right.
all of our brownfields down there we can put.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can start developing that.
but
They
honestly,
have some
that,
newer trees
that
down
park
there,
does
so-
nothing, and you guys maintain it, and not a single, you drive by that park at any time. I cut grass in Camelot, I'm around over there, there ain't a person in sight over
The other
there
good thing
at
about
any
it-
time.
It's not a park, okay?
Well, whatever you wanna
It's
call
sitting
it.
area.
I mean, it's,
It's not
I know a lot of money
park,
was spent over
but
there,
it
but
could-
it's not a
But you know
park.
what? It could be a dog park.
It could be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Where
it
there's no
But
kids,
anyway,
nobody around.
I mean, honestly, I think that's an option that,
Or the brownfield.
I think
because
that's an option that should be
then-
explored.
If they had a dog
You know,
park
that's all
down
I'm
there,
saying, that's all I'm
maybe they would
saying.
have dog walking along the river,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
You never know.
Well, they got grant.
There's
money
more
for
opportunities
that
down
over
there.
Well, and we are trying to build up the downtown, bring as many people to downtown as we can. That falls under that jurisdiction. I mean, again, I think it's something,
Well,
I'm sure it's gonna have its challenges. I think it should be
I would
explored.
rather have swing sets and things like that at Nebo
for kids.
that I've been asking for a
Right.
long time before a dog park.
Right.
So, because we're getting more kids in the Nebo area.
Right.
And, but, you know, I don't know. I'm tired of putting money into Mothy. It looks
Monthy's
fun.
already a nice
Monty-
park and we
Monty-
use it.
Monty is a very nice
Yeah.
park. Monty is pretty full.
Yeah,
There's not a whole lot more you can do with Monty. It's,
I
but
agree.
we keep thinking of putting stuff in Mothy, keep putting stuff in Mothy,
Uh,
well, we got other places.
that being said, I did have a phone call from the Special Olympics sometime in August. They're looking into the possibility of having a Special Olympic disc golf at Monty.
Oh, cool.
No more details to come. They don't have an exact date or when they want it or anything else. They just called and asked me if they would be able to do it. And since I said it wouldn't be a problem as long as it doesn't interfere with a meeting room or anything else.
Sure.
I'm sorry to get you off topic there,
No,
but
but-
I thought about it when you said Monty Park.
It's all right. I got one thing if,
I got one.
go ahead. I'll go last.
Where we at with Leitner's property on 7th Street, the house, tearing it down? I was at a graduation and you was sitting right there too, when Tom Cole and his wife come up to us and asked us that he called down
Okay, so he
here.
came in with his lawyer last year,
Okay.
and because proper procedures weren't followed,
Mm-hmm.
his lawyer won, you know.
Mhm.
With the electrical box
He-
they made.
yeah, and so-
Yeah.
I would have, he was supposed to fix it up, I don't know where he's at with that. I would have to start the process all over again if we were gonna try and tear it down.
Yeah,
Is
because
there electric in there?
I know he cleaned up a lot of the property, he took out the cars and everything else, he at least started to clean it up. As far as the demo of the property,
the
that
car,
would be, have to start a whole new process there.
there's a car, there's one in the driveway, which is historical car,
Okay,
with flat tires, and along the garage, there is a van or something sitting there that's been there for years.
okay. I'll get a hold of him and I'll make sure that he continues this cleanup process.
Yep.
Okay, all I got is on Catherine, the street Catherine.
Yes.
Somebody did road cuts again. It didn't go to the center line, nor did the gas company come back out and fix.
I just had a conversation, that's a good point to bring it up because gas company is in town right now, so I'll make sure I mention it to him. I was talking to Travis Docker 2 days ago.
It's just, again, I'm not trying to keep harping on it, but
Yeah.
the citizens pay for the road resurfacing program.
Right.
So, and we have ordinances on the books that these companies should know about. So it is important to
Right.
keep up on those to maintain the roads as best we can.
So my first conversation with Docker, I don't know if I thought I told you about this or not, but when he had the old ordinance on road repairs, because they do it regularly, nobody ever updated him on the new ordinance.
Okay,
And so once I update him with the new ordinance, then he started following the new ordinance.
okay. Check them out for
Yeah.
me, please.
Bob, do you know anything about 510 4th Street? Has that house been condemned?
No, I can tell you it hasn't been condemned.
Okay,
I'd have to check with Billy, because
okay,
a lot of times when I mention the house, Billy says, yep, he tells me the name of the owner and what he's already done with it.
okay.
That happens like 99% of the time when I mention a property. So 510 4th Street, there's an issue, I'll check with Bill.
Okay, and then I've had some complaints about fires at that address in the back, really high fires.
Okay.
So what's the best course of action to take with that? as
Okay, so
far
fires
as-
are permissible, extremely high fires and everything else are not permissible. So if the neighbor sees that, the best option is to go ahead and call the police, the fire department.
Fire department.
Call the fire department, they'll come up and they'll assess whether it's within our code or not within our code.
Okay, and if it's a repeat offense type thing, I mean, will they be cited for that?
We would have to get the police involved for citation, the fire department doesn't issue citations.
Okay,
So if it is a repeat, then yes, we'll instruct the fire department to call the police department to issue a citation.
okay, all right. I'll follow up with those people.
Do we still initiate that 3 strikes you're out?
On what? No,
Anything.
we determined that's, I don't think so.
If they commit the same thing 3 times, then
I believe John's opinion of that wasn't enforceable.
okay. Just wondering.
I know what you're saying.
Because
You
they
get-
would
you
have
get
to
called,
pay for
you
the
get called,
police
you get
and
called,
the-
and then
They would
if
have
it's a
to pay
rental,
for it.
you
Yeah,
get
right.
booted out and stuff, and then I think he determined that we can't enforce it.
Anybody have anything else for this committee?
What was that house number you said?
You guys all done?
37
Never.
Grace.
Gentlemen, if you don't need
Still
me anymore,
convened.
I'm gonna go ahead and leave.
Go ahead, Mr. Benson. Appreciate your service tonight.
37 Grace, is it?
37 Grace, I haven't heard about this year, I'm familiar with it from last year.
Is it empty?
And like I said, I haven't heard anything about it from this year.
We'll have to get together for it, because I had somebody ask me about it, I mentioned it to Bob. We'll see if there's any,
That's the next to last house
next
on
to
the
last
right.
house, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I'm familiar with it, but most of
That
them
grass
last
has been,
year.
my cousin's been cutting it for a while.
Your cousin's cutting it? Because the street department normally goes around the properties that they cut last year, and they'll start cutting it again.
Well, they wanna see what they're doing with that. They're
Yeah,
gonna
just
buy
hit
the
that and
property.
then just hit.
37,
something.
yeah, we'll take care of it.
All right.
And 410 Fourth Street?
Yep.
510.
510 Fourth Street.
Well, might as well go back up to 50 Franklin, they don't look like they've done hardly anything with them. Frank? Okay.
Hey Bob, if you can hold on 1 second, I'm just gonna give you this right now.
Okay.
Mr. Patrick, the floor is yours.
I'm going to
You ready?
run over
Yes,
this
sir.
office real quick.
Ready whenever you are.
Well, we've been talking about this code of ethics policy. Instead of me reading down word for word, I'm trusting that everybody read this. Okay. I'm gonna go around the table and point out stuff that needs changed, eliminated, whatever you want. Okay? Are we fine with doing that?
I'm fine. I have one if I could start with.
Yeah, you go
Is that
ahead.
okay?
Yep.
Number 5, no member shall request or permitted to use city-owned vehicle. I was under the impression that we have now got a city vehicle that is for city employees anytime that they have
It's a
to
full
use it.
vehicle, sits right on the end of it.
Correct.
So that needs,
I don't know why city council, if we had to go somewhere, wouldn't be afforded the same privilege as any other
Any other?
government, every other city employee.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. No reason to use yours.
Well, I mean, if, like,
gotta go to a meeting?
correct, if
Yeah.
it is something to do with city business and the city council should be
so
afforded the right to
you
use
want
it.
that tweak where it's gonna allow us to have that vehicle usable.
To council, the same way that it's usable for the
Right,
street
that's what
department,
that-
yes,
From my understanding, and I could be wrong, that's what that vehicle was purchased.
correct.
Because they didn't trust, they were using like, the code enforcement car.
Yeah.
And that was the safety record, they were using that. And then if that was tied up and then they just didn't have nothing, from my understanding,
Sure.
that's why that.
Well, like I said, if we didn't, if it wasn't afforded to all the other city employees, I wouldn't bring it up. But
Gotcha. No, no problem.
Being that it is,
So just strike out the word vehicles.
yes,
Okay.
yeah,
I will,
Easy
I'm
enough.
writing it down and I'm gonna approach the administration on that.
Well, this is ours. I mean.
Yeah, it's ours, but-
Well, we're elected officials. so-
I understand, but we need a tweak where it's gonna show specifically that council's allowed to use that vehicle. We got
Well, it
a
doesn't
meeting.
say we're not allowed though.
Huh?
It doesn't say we're not allowed if you just
Well, we
take out
need
the
it
word
cleaned
vehicle.
up. He wants it cleaned up.
Alright.
Anything else on this, Dallas?
no, that was the one that stood out to me, Mike.
Can I move on or you got more? Hold on. Hold
No,
on, hold on.
no, I'm
We're gonna
good.
go around the table. We're not gonna jump over one another.
That was the one that stuck out.
Megan,
Can you come back to me? I'm trying to find the one that I had a problem with.
okay. Mr. Bellick.
Yeah, I'm pretty much good with all this. I mean, it seems like it's stuff that we do already anyway, for the most part. I mean, you know,
Okay.
it's like, I don't really have a problem with anything.
Okay. Lori, I'm gonna go to you next.
Well, I mean, the only thing I had stated to you before is I feel that, and you had said, that they should have their own, and this is our own code of ethics. I just feel that if we're being put on and making sure that we have a code of ethics, they should have a code of ethics.
Okay.
I feel like this, to me, not showing up for a meeting and having all this with the dog park, and I know it's causing, I don't know, I feel like we were taken advantage of.
Okay.
So, just as Mr. C might do something and go, I feel the same goes for us.
Okay.
So I feel like where it says not interfering with day-to-day city employees or
Where's
not.
that at?
On 11, it's just like recognizing and respecting the role of the mayor. Well, where is there, respecting the role of
Yeah.
council?
So number 11, you think needs tweaked, the
Well, I don't know, I
I
just,
think
that's the one I was
Lori is
talking
stating
about
more
too.
that she doesn't feel that we need a code of ethics
Well-
if the administration isn't held to a code of ethics.
It
Is that
wasn't
what-
held to the
That's
same
where I'm
standard.
getting
Alright,
at.
can I speak for a minute? Last weekend I ran into Terry Stalker, Sam's Club. And if you, I don't know if Bob might, I mentioned this before, around the time they had the jail hanging, I'm not gonna get into all that, but Clemens and Nelson did write a code of ethics, I'll call it a code of ethics policy, for all members that weren't covered by a union contract. Because union contract, now, and it's supposed to be in the mayor's office. Terry Stalker. So we may ask to review that.
Yeah, cause we had a guy come in and
And you're right.
inspect everything.
Clemens and Nelson wrote that policy, if Terry says, and he assured me that there should be a copy in the mayor's office.
He
And
told me,
That's why we closed the jail.
he told me the same thing,
So-
Terry.
Would that cover us as well?
No.
Well, I don't think so, Lori, but we may
Okay.
want to get a copy of it and review it to make sure we're not in there
Right,
before we go with this, you know what I'm saying?
I would agree with that.
yeah.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying, so. if
We might
we're-
already be covered under theirs.
We may, I don't remember Dallas, because that was, so we may request a copy of that and review it before.
No, I think we should
We
request.
should.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Sure.
yet, yeah. we-
And I'm
And-
can I say one more?
Absolutely, it's your turn.
So,
Stand up, come and join us.
oh, whatever. So I think that like when we had our last council meeting, when people were very happy with how Mr. Carselli acts and interacts with his constituents.
Yes.
So when you see how people feel, it's a little bit different.
I understand.
Okay, so, and I just think that like we could have had somebody here stating, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
understand, Lori,
okay.
absolutely.
so I don't know if any of that's in here either, I can't really, but that just kind of stuck out to me. I just feel that like,
Okay. So can I, with council's permission, have Megan write a letter to the mayor and safety director requesting a copy of the code of ethics policy that's supposed to be in the mayor's office?
And if they don't have it, I'm sure Clemens has it.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
Clemens, is that
Yeah.
fair with council?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, that way we know what's going on.
Well, we know what's
Yeah.
going on, because it's been so many years, Ricky, and I don't remember exactly, but it all started over the hanging in the jail, and Bob Pace came
And that
in,
all started about the safety in the courtroom.
safety in the
Right.
courtroom, the whole bit, because there was no policies in place. So when I talked to Terry Stalker, he said that was put in place because of people that weren't covered by a union contract, and the union basically didn't have no policy to be, there was no policy in place to discipline the police chief for doing something.
Right.
So Clemens and Nelson wrote a policy up. Now, how it's written and who's involved, I don't remember.
Yeah, and how that would apply
Right,
as
how
far
that,
to
and how that
us.
would apply.
Right.
So if council gives me the permission, I will have Megan write a letter, address it to the mayor and safety director, and request a copy of that,
Sure.
so we can review it.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
And if she doesn't come up with it,
Then we'll go to Clemens and Nelson.
Because we paid for it.
We paid for it.
mhm,
Well, I think we should ask it in a timely manner.
yeah,
I'll have her, I'll
2
call
weeks.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll come down and talk to Megan tomorrow, and we'll draft a letter up and get it over to
Because I don't want
her.
it to fall to the wayside
Right.
like everything else.
I got
do.
you, loud and clear. All right, we're good with that?
All good.
Okay, so I don't know, do we want to continue reviewing
Let's
this?
wait till we get it, we compare.
yeah, we
Okay.
can
yeah,
compare.
because we might even be included in that.
We may, Lori, I don't remember, it's been so
But
many years.
we may have to tweak it, because this is
Right.
really not bad.
Right, and I'm
I don't have
fine.
a problem with it.
I don't either.
And, you know, other than the vehicle, which makes sense, but I didn't even
Yeah.
think about that.
There's
because
just a lot
I
of
just
this,
found out we
a
had a
lot
vehicle a
of,
couple weeks ago.
a lot of what's on here is common sense.
Yeah,
It is stuff that we are
yeah,
ordered to do more or less by law and by ethics code regardless.
right.
Yeah.
Okay,
But a lot of it is. But
Absolutely.
let's see what theirs is, maybe we're covered under it.
yeah. Well,
And-
I'll come down and talk to Megan tomorrow and have her draft a letter up and take it over there, and
Okay.
hopefully they can respond in a timely fashion, we can look at it and go from there.
All good. Good, Mike?
I'm fine.
Anybody, anything else for this committee? Motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
One thing,
That's all I know how to do.
it looks like
Turn that off.
I'm gonna be a full-time